If you want to know what the best characters and the best weapons are in the current meta for Naraka Bladepoint, then stick around because we have a tier list to break down. Hey everyone, it's OSK, and today I'm going to be ranking all the characters, melee weapons, and ranged weapons on my lovely little tier list. This list is mainly going to be focused around solos for Naraka, especially for the characters, but if you're looking at the melee and ranged weapons, you may find that it applies to trios as well. Also, I do have a tier list video I did for the release of Naraka Bladepoint, but I will not be basing anything off of that list for this video. Now, if that sounds good to you and you enjoy this kind of Naraka Bladepoint content, you know what to do. Feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more, and don't forget to comment below where you think the different characters and weapons belong and leave your reasons why. Now then, let's get right into it. Hey, what's up guys? Here is tier list volume 2. This tier list, for the record, I made a video earlier with a different tier list for release. This will not relate in any way to that tier list. We're going off of a different baseline. So whatever was at S last time, don't worry about it. Whatever was at C last time, don't worry about it. This is a completely independent tier list. So here we go. Starting off, we'll start with Kurumi. Kurumi got nerfed, I think, since the last time I made my tier list. And to be honest, I've almost never even see her anymore. I think I saw her maybe like once or twice in some of these games, but for the most part, I don't really see her that much anymore. She's pretty much gutted in solos, and D tier is where I'll put her for now. We might adjust as we go. Now, Matari, still S. You know, she can still eliminate her disadvantage state by blinking out. Usually you take your double blink, and that's really, really powerful. She can also go invisible, which masks both of her moves and also just helps in getting away in general. Also prevents you from auto-targeting her with a grapple, which is really, really useful. And she's still seeing plenty of play at the top, and it's really obnoxious to this point. They still haven't nerfed her that much, and I think she's gonna just stay there where she goes. Naraka G is gonna be right below her in A. He still has his infinite combo with Katana, and he can still cancel a whole bunch of stuff, even with Greatsword. Naraka G with Greatsword, by the way, in ult is one of the more frightening things that you definitely do not want to be on the receiving end of. And overall, he's feeling really good to play, and he's really, really tough to deal with once you actually get in your game and try to do things with him. Now, Tumulk. By the way, this is mostly a solo tier list, just in case you didn't know. Tumulk, or Tumult rather, that's how you really pronounce his name. He's still not feeling too good in the current meta. You can still focus through his tornadoes. His tornado is big one. His ult actually got nerfed a little bit, where players can move a little bit faster through it. So they're a little bit less defenseless. He's still going to be a little bit more he's going to be a little bit more useful than Kurumi, just because he can lock down that wide area and still get some combos off with his G combo. But for the most part, he's not really feeling too great. I don't really see him too much in my higher end lobbies, and that's pretty much for good reason. So I'm going to keep him there in C. Tianhai is a bit of a weird one. I kind of want to put him right with Tumulch, and the reason being is because he actually got nerfed in the ultimate with his health pool, and also players have just gotten better in general. They know how to play around his bell a little bit better, and myself included, if I do say so myself. Tianhai is just not feeling anywhere near as powerful as he did. And there's still some gimps that you can do in the final circle. Like, you can still hold your Vajra until the very end and then spawn him in the last circle. But there are ways to get around that. And really, he's just not feeling too great anymore. Players know how to space him out with his ultimate now. They know how to focus down his weak spots. And that's pretty much the word for him for right now. He's feeling pretty weak, so I'm going to keep him in C. Now, Valda Cui, the new character, is actually feeling pretty good. I'm going to put her in B tier for right now. She's got some pretty insane combos off of her F1 skill, which is her regular haze. She can bubble down. She can extend combos that way, especially off of an uppercut. There's also new combos coming out with her F3, which is the teleport one. And she's feeling overall pretty good. I don't think she's feeling as good as Naraka G, and that's actually kind of funny because they're both lovers, but I think Valda is a little bit below her. Her ultimate is really easy to get out of, or not get out of. It's really easy to avoid, like the onset of it, the initial wave part. All you have to do is just focus away twice. I think the focus dashing, all you have to do is do it twice and then you're out, and she's feeling pretty, middle of the road. So I think B tier is where she goes. She's definitely better than Tianhai and Tumulch, but I don't think she's as good as Naraka G, so we're going to keep her there. Now, Viper Ning, I'm going to put her below Valda, but she's also going to go in B. Overall, her lockdown Yushan Enigma is still feeling pretty good. The silence one, she can also use any of our others to kind of back things off the action. But the lockdown into her ultimate, still one of the best combos that you can do. She also has a silence combo that a lot of players like to use. Gives you a quick little stun, also silences, which is pretty nice. And overall, she's just got great combo extensions. Overall, though, I wouldn't put her above Valda just because Valda kind of does what she kind of does what Viper Ning does, except a little bit better, I think, in my opinion. So she'll stay above Viper Ning, but I think Viper is better than everyone below her. So B tier is where I'll put her. Now, Yodohime, this is kind of a toss-up. Honestly, with the buffs that she got to her ultimate, I want to put her in high B. Now, this isn't to say that like she dropped from A tier from the last tier list. I think she actually stayed fairly consistent. But her buffs to her ultimate, being able to swing her big slashes a little bit faster, and also getting the life steal off of literally every single version of the ultimate. Now, ultimate version 2 is feeling pretty good, the heal one, and she's got a little bit of heal for everyone else. So she's feeling really good. This is another reason why Tianhai goes down, is because Yodo can now stagger the Vajra form with her own ultimate. She still isn't going to be as versatile as a Tarkaji or anything, or as a Matari, but you know, she's feeling a little bit better than where she did. But overall, the rankings are going to stand right here. So I think this is pretty accurate. Let me know what you think. Matari, yes. Tarkaji A, Yodo, Valda, and Viper all in B. Tianhai in C, Tumult's there with them, and then Kurumi, my poor girl, she's going to be in D tier. All right, moving on to melee weapons. Nothing really changed that much. I think we saw a few more combos from Katana since the last time that I made the tier list. Dagger's been touched quite a bit. We actually did see some changes. And great swords now even better. So Blood Ripper also got nerfed a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and just go off the rip here. Starting with S tier, you all know it. Longsword is going to go in S tier. The toothpick combo is really, really strong. Everybody who's on the ladder right now trying to rank up is using it, myself included. Try not to abuse it too much, but let's be honest, guys. If you can toothpick, you can land one right mouse button, you're going to be doing half the health bar, and that's not even talking about the follow-up combos that you can do to get two toothpicks in a row and then just out damage them, and it's really, really annoying. So longsword, if toothpicking gets touched, longsword can go a lot lower, but for right now, S tier is where it goes. It is really strong. I'm going to follow this up with Katana. Katana's going to go just below longsword. I actually had a video about the longsword versus Katana. If you want to check it out, I'll link it in the top right. Katana has a really, really good advantage state, and that's saying a lot. Katana can get so many combos off of just one hit and an uppercut that it's actually kind of insane. There's even a grapple combo that you can do. And really, I've seen players kind of double pick both longsword and Katana. They know that the advantage state of Katana is a lot better, so what they'll do is they'll toothpick with the longsword for the first hit, switch over to Katana for the second hit, and then they just combo you to death. And Katana is one of the better dueling weapons in the game, so I think I'm going to put it in A tier. I think that's firmly where it belongs. Following up with Spear, I think it's right up with Katana. The neutral's a little bit better, the advantage state is not, but that long range poke from Spear is something to behold. It just can't get as much off of a single hit like Katana can, so I'm going to put it just below it in A tier. But yeah, A tier, pretty good place for it. Moving on to Dagger, I think Dagger's kind of right up with it. I think the Dagger has a lot better of an advantage state than the Spear does, but the Spear does have the better neutral state, and because of that, I think I'm going to keep Spear above Dagger in that aspect. But Dagger has some great mix-up potential. By doing a soul break, you can clang focus attacks pretty reliable, or even just straight out beat them out. And if you go up against someone who's maybe used to the general flow of Naraka, say like they're used to having the basic attacks and charge for the focus attack, if you go up two of them with a dagger dash and a soul break, that might actually throw them off quite a bit. So I'm thinking that it's going to be just above, you know, still in A tier. It's nowhere near S like it used to be, but sorry, just burped there for a second. But yeah, I think Dagger definitely belongs in A tier for sure. And again, this tier list doesn't have any bearing on the one before it, so don't worry about it. I'm just ranking them as I see them here. Great Sword, Greatsword's a weird one. I kind of want to put it in B because it is a little bit of cheese, and as long as you're controlling the pace of the fight very well, Greatsword will never be a danger to you as long as you know what to look out for. I think a lot of players see this as a noob smasher, and for good reason. They just don't know how to play around it. But if you're taking a dagger or a longsword or a katana against the greatsword, you might get damaged pretty heavily, like maybe once or twice. And I think a lot of it comes down to like players just knowing how to play around all the other weapons for you to really get some results in greatsword. I've straight up beaten players with greatsword, but for the most part, it is a little bit cheese in the sense that if you know how to play around it, then you'll never feel yourself at danger with it. It's also pretty easy to counter for the most part. There's a little bit of a delay after stone form, but for the most part, you can counter it pretty reliably. There's just really the damage is there. Okay, the damage. You know what? It's an A tier. I think it's below every other weapon, but I think the tier is going to be important. I think, yeah, you can just. Everything that you can't make up in speed, the damage is just there. And I've personally taken this in Bloodbath. I've taken it in different battle royales. It's like the dagger. It's a good mix-up tool, and you can definitely dual equip it. So yeah, I talked myself into putting in A tier. So there you go. It's gonna be an A. Blood Ripper had a nerf to its startup where you can't actually, get the damage going right away. So basically it made it to where you can clang it pretty easy, and you can also clash it with a focus attack. Basically Blood Ripper is just, if you get hit by it, you're pretty much done unless you can jump out of it somehow against terrain. But for the most part, the key is to not ever get like startup hit on it, and you can hear it from a mile away. You're going to be able to hop up that tree. It's very immobile. Blood Ripper is going to be in C. I don't even have a weapon for B, but if there was a weapon in B, Blood Ripper would be below it. So yeah, there you go. There's your weapon tier list. Hopefully toothpicking gets nerfed so we can see things like the katana in S tier, but for the most part, longsword is going to stay in S. Every weapon is pretty much on the same tier below it. I think in that order as well. And then Blood Ripper, I don't know why you would pick it up from a crate. All right, and now we have ranged weapons. So no new ranged weapons came in between this tier list and last. And again, this will have no bearing on the previous tier list that I had for ranged weapons. But starting off, the bow got a nerf, and it was nowhere near enough. In fact, compared to my last tier list, I had it in A before. I've moved it up to S because the stun that you can get off of a bow is really good at locking down opponents. Even in solos, you have someone grappling in and then you shoot them with the bow and they're just sitting there. The headshot damage and the double charge on the bow is pretty ridiculous if you want to get a third party going on. Even with the damage nerfs, I don't think they were anywhere near enough. And now, having used it a lot more, especially at the higher lobby, players are still picking up that thing. It's still the weapon of choice. You're going to be seeing it in S tier for quite a bit. And the same thing goes for the musket. The musket actually got a bit of a buff to its bullet speed velocity, and now if you pick up Sunwing Shot, like, it's borderline hit scan. It's actually kind of insane. So those two weapons are going to be in S respectively, your premier long range weapons. I don't think anyone's really going to dispute that. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the pistol. The pistol, I think, is still really, really powerful. The only thing that really limits it is going to be that charge up animation. It's a little bit longer than what you can get with the bow. A bow you can actually just like single tap and it'll pretty much fire instantly for the most part. But pistol, you got to charge it up a little bit. The damage is still insane. I just don't think it's going to be as good as these two. Like this is definitely the order you want. You want a bow, then you want a musket, and then you want a pistol, unless you're like going for a hero cultivation quest or something. So pistol damage still high, the charge up is very long, and it's still going to be below your top two contenders there. Repeating crossbow, the damage just isn't there for like a short enough amount of time. Toxic shots is still pretty good, but the damage potential still nowhere near what you can get with the weapons in S tier with musket and bow. So there you go. I think I'm gonna put A tier for the most part. Now moving on to the cannon. Cannon is in B tier. I don't know why you pick up this weapon. I picked up a golden cannon against a third party, and honestly, the results were not what I wanted. The projectile is so slow. Your enemies can do so many things. They can do so many things with it. You can actually hit away cannon shots now, I think. And I actually think I might have made a video about this with the patch notes at some point, but now Tarka can run through it. Tumultuous Wisps can knock it away. Cannon just overall not feeling in a good place. Maybe you need to up the damage on it. Maybe you need to increase the projectile speed, 24 entertainment. But Cannon right now is not feeling too good. I wouldn't ever pick it up. And it's going to go in B until I rank the other ones, I guess. Flamebringer, I'm actually really liking the Flamebringer. I like the tick on the base health once you hit someone with Flamebringer. It also reveals their health bar for quite a bit, which is pretty nice. And it's a pretty good disruption tool. You don't have to worry about it getting deflected. And overall, it's just much easier to hit. It's a close ranged weapon for the most part. But yeah, the results you can get off of it are pretty dang good. In fact, I think I'm going to put it above Cannon for right now. It is a great weapon, but it's one that I would pick over the Cannon. I don't think I would choose this over any of the other 4 weapons. I mainly pick it up just for fun, but in all seriousness, I think it is still better than the Cannon. So there you go. And also, I'm going to put the Swarm up there as well. The Swarm is actually, it can actually get deflected much like the Cannon can, and every other weapon. Like if you're going into a Dragon Slayer trying to hit this thing, it is going to get slapped away. But the Swarm, I'm actually going to put it above the Flamebringer. Swarm is pretty strong. You just charge it up for a little bit. It's like a better repeating crossbow, in my opinion, for the most part. I say that. Repeating crossbow, you get immediate damage, and then you can move out of it from right there. Swarm takes a little bit of charge up time. You're not going to take it into a 1v1, I don't think, or if you do, it's not really going to be used that much. So I do think repeating crossbow is still a little bit better than it, just because of the immediate damage that you can do, especially if you lead your shots a little bit better. But Swarm, I think, is still going to be better than the Cannon. I think it's a little bit better than the Flamebringer, but they're pretty much on the same tier. So I think I'm really, really happy with this tier list right here. This is going to be your ranged weapons. You got the bow and musket in S tier. You got pistol above the repeating crossbow, both in A tier. The Swarm and Flamebringer are in B tier, and C is for Cannon. Cannon needs a buff. That's where I'm going to leave that there. Now that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry about my voice if you notice something different. I am currently going through COVID, so we have that going for us, but I'm not feeling too bad. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more Naraka content. I've been OSK. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.